Hey guys, it's another video. I'm back, hopefully you're back. Hello if you are new. I'm gonna shake it up again this week and I'm gonna do my top 5 Brooklyn Nine-Nine episodes, but it's from all of the series is. But also, saying that, when I was doing it I actually realised it's like 1 per season 1 to 5. There are 7 seasons, but so I might end up doing another one that's like my second top 5, so like from my top 10. But for now, these are my top 5. Using my iPad again this week because it was successful last week. I will also probably put a spoilers sign in the corner somewhere just in case like you haven't watched it. I don't think anything that I'm gonna say is super spoilery, but if you're that sort of person then you want to be safe, then it's there, I suppose. So my first top 5 episode is season 1 episode 6, Halloween. So this episode is the OG Halloween heist episode, okay? So you get one almost every season, but this one is the first, and it's just a lot of fun, really. It's quite quirky, it's a lot of fun, good times all around. We love the OG episode. So within this episode, like, the character dynamics are sort of switched up a little bit from how they usually are, and it just brings a lot of like good new energy to it. And a lot of the scenes are actually really cleverly made, while others of them are just straight up funny and humorous, and it's just a really diverse episode that just is, I just love it. It just brings a lot to the group, you know? The royal babies in this episode deserve an honourable mention because they're quite iconic, to be honest, and you don't really realise their relevance until you realise their relevance, you know? Good stuff all round. When Jake explains his big master plan and how he's done everything and all of that, I just love it. It's iconic. We love a good master plan. Turns out there was teamwork all around, and just generally it's a good moment for everyone involved. It's just it is really fun, a really good episode. It's really light-hearted, like you don't have to commit too much. We just love to see it, we really do. So my second episode is season 2 episode 15, Windbreaker City. So in this episode there's just a lot of everything going on. The word cathart is used a lot throughout it, and it's quite funny the way that it is used. And also Amy and a power posing is just a very funny theme throughout this episode. I really love that it shows that there are some like strained interagency relationships like the NYPD and Homeland Security, or ATF, and all of that. Like, in your brains, in your mind you think, oh, they probably get on, or they don't, like, but it's really funny to see that play out on screen. Also in this episode, you get a new look into how Holt and Gina's relationship is, and it's really fascinating to see, but it's also a really good, like, little side story in this episode, and I find it really funny. I also, this one fulfills all of Jake's Die Hard movie dreams, to be honest. Like, they break off from the drill because they think they're being like screwed over, which they are, fair enough, and then it turns into kind of like a low-key action movie sort of vibe, and it's just really good. We're here for that, we love that. It's all good stuff, all good stuff. So my third Brooklyn Nine-Nine episode is season 3 episode 12 9 Days. So we love a Jake and Holt team up. Like, I love the dynamic between those two, like the entire show, but this episode especially is just fantastic. Also in this episode, the side story between Rosa and Charles, and Charles's dog Jason, just iconic scenes. What makes this episode a bit more funny as well is that within it Jake and Holt have to be quarantined, which is really relevant with the state of the world right now, and the get-up they have to put on because they've got the mumps. The get-up they put on, because they're like, we need to go out and solve this crime, is really funny, because it's so, like, you look at it now and you're like, oh my gosh, it's relevant, like, it just makes it funnier because it's a joke on them trying to, like, wear protective clothing, but it's funnier because it's how we have to live life now. Also, the fact that they name their mumps, like, they name them, oh, it just makes me laugh. Mumps on mumps on mumps, you know? I need to mention this because it's just so smart. It's the recipe that Garibaldi, like, that is a clue, but what they think it is isn't what it is. And oh, it's just, I remember watching it and being like, oh, it's so smart. It's so smart. My favourite bit of this episode though, so Rosa gets Charles a new dog because his dog has died, but he doesn't want it. And then she throws a funeral for this dog because that's what Charles really wants. But obviously she's still been stuck with this other dog that she's got. His name is Arlo. And the whole thing is really sweet and nice. But then Rosa comes out with this. She's like, I've only known Arlo for a day and a half, but if anything happens to him, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself. I've never related more to anything in my life. Oh my gosh. Any sort of dog, I will die for you. And it's just, seeing that played out on screen is just really funny to me. I don't know if anyone else agrees, but you know, it's a whole ass mood. So my fourth episode comes in season 4, episode 16, Moo Moo. So this episode actually really centres around Terry. Now, we do love Terry content, like, we will forever stand the Terry content, but the reason that he's the main character and the sort of premise of the episode is not good, but it's done in a good way and it's really, really relevant right now. So he gets racially discriminated against while walking down a road in an area he lives in. I think it might be his actual street that he's walking down at night. And it's obviously very, very relevant with, like, what's going on in the world right now. But the whole way it's handled throughout the episode, so it's handled really well in the way that Terry has to deal with the fact that he's been racially discriminated against by a fellow police officer. But it's also really well handled with how Terry and Holt deal with it in a professional aspect, as in, like, does Terry file a report, an official complaint or anything, and it risk his career, like his developing, going any further than where he is, or not. But also it covers really well that it's a conversation that kids have to have. So it's a conversation that parents have to have with their children, especially in black families. But this time it's shown through when Jake and Amy are babysitting Terry's twins, and they ask the question and they have to sort of have that conversation. So it shows that it's not really a conversation that just black families should be having, because no black person should be discriminated against. No person whatsoever should be discriminated against for the colour of their skin. And every family should be having that conversation. Like, it shouldn't just be like, oh, my kids are, like, too young, we shouldn't be having this conversation. Age doesn't matter for black people. Everyone needs to have these conversations. Like, education and conversations is the only way to get over the ignorance, in a way. And our kids, you've got to have the conversation with the kids when they're young, so that they grow up to not be like that. So my fifth and final episode from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is season 5, episode 14, The Box. It's just such a clever episode. That is all you really need, like, you take away from it, is so smart. So, like, on the surface, yeah, the whole episode is essentially just in the interrogation room and it's just quite a lot of dialogue, which you could be like, oh, that's really boring. But the actual, like, interactions, the actual content of the dialogue, the acting is just phenomenal in this episode. Even my mum liked this episode and she doesn't like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, okay? That's saying something. So there's a mix of like humour but also like quite deep tense moments within this episode, and that is what makes it just so good. It is just one of the best, and I think it comes down to as well the case and the criminal that's involved as well. And because it's such a tough case, the various strategies that they use to try and get a confession, but also the like tangents they go on within the episode is just phenomenal. Like, it gives you a little bit of everything that you love about Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but it's all like condensed, not condensed, we'll stick with condensed, down into this one room and this one area. Oh, it's just fantastic. But the best bit of this episode is when Jake storms into the room and he's like, I'm about to monologue, son. And then the actual following monologue that happens, just, it's just so well acted. But also the way that it actually gets the guy to confess, because he's like, no, you've got all my facts wrong. I need to prove that I'm really smart. Like, Holt describes that later on. He's like, well, you knew you were implying that he'd done it with luck, but he'd actually committed the perfect crime and he needed to show it. It's just, oh my gosh. It's a phenomenal episode. Phenomenal. If you literally don't watch any of the Brooklyn Nine-Nine episodes other than one, make it this one, because it's fantastic. And then obviously in this episode you get not one, not two, but three oh damns from one Raymond Holt. We love to see it. So that's been my thoughts, feelings, run through type vibes for my top 5 episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Now, I really do hope that after my last video you did go and watch some of the stuff I suggested, but I also hope that even from this episode you might, even from this video you might watch some of the episodes I've said, because Brooklyn Nine-Nine, with the guise of being a funny comedy cop show, does actually cover quite a lot of deep societal issues, but they do it in a way that you don't feel attacked, sort of. Yeah, I really do love this show, and I think other people should watch it and give it more credit than it does get. Yeah, so I hope you liked it. Tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me if you've got any favourite episodes and what you recommend for me to watch. Yeah, see you in the next one. Bye. Do you mind some pigeons having a race? Dialogue? Oh, okay. In a quick run of you. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Are you good? I mean, you look a bit wonky, but I think we're just gonna have to accept that at this point.